Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Small School AD on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's Small School AD. But first, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director or I've got a direct connection to. You should be using them too. So take the next 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to the segment, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. The website is Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to thank Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. Start creating world-class content for your school's social media channel. It'll help you celebrate your athletes and promote your teams. Gipper's used and trusted by over 4,000 programs across the country. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but as an athletic director, I was looking for a platform that was going to help all of our programs, and Huddle came through like a champ. Go to Huddle.com. They'll show you the same tools that they gave us that allowed our coaches to coach our kids up to the highest level. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and got little, if any, return? Stop right here. Go to snapraise.com. Hands down, the best online fundraiser out there. You can check out their other platforms at snapraise.com, but if you're looking for a fundraiser, you found it. Go to snapraise.com to get started. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, more customization. That's hometownticketing.com. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo to see their scoreboards and their score tables in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to get started. We also want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day for things like scheduling, uploading rosters, student-athlete eligibility and clearance. Who doesn't do that every day? Go to homecampus.com. Tell them you heard about it on the podcast. They'll give you a nice discount. That's homecampus.com. We also want to thank Ohio University's online Masters in Athletic Administration. This is an affordable 20-month online program. And when you're done, you're not only going to have your master's degree, you're also going to have 10 NIAAA leadership training courses to apply towards your RIAA or CAA. You're also going to be part of a nationwide network in athletic administration. To get started, all you have to do is go to ohio.edu/info/MAA. Ohio University's online masters. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors already get feedback. It's usually from the complainers and gripers, but that's only a small percentage of your stakeholders. Athletic Surveys is going to connect you to the 98% that supports your program. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with a frustrated parent or maybe your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Small School Athletic Director on the Educational AD Podcast. This is our weekly feature where we have athletic directors, not just from across the country, but now from around the world, that are working in that small school environment. And our definition of a small school is a high school that has maybe 300 students or less. We are joined today by somebody I like to call a good friend, Sarah Harman. She is been on the podcast a number of times. She's the director of athletics at the ABA Oman International School. And that, of course, is in Oman. Tremendous background in athletics as an athlete, as a coach, and now as an AD. And I asked her to come on to share her experience at a small school. But again, this is going to be a small international school. So, Sarah, welcome back to the podcast. And if somebody's listening for the first time, give them a little bit of an idea of your school and the setup, and then what's your small school tip for this week?
Yep, sure. Thanks so much for having me again, Jake. Great to be here. So ABA Oman International School is a preschool through to grade 12 international school here in Oman. And we've got 950 students across the entire school. So as Jake said, we're probably, just under the 300 mark in the high school, which is considered small in the US. In Oman, it's I think we are probably the biggest international school. So it's very different. I guess the next size school, is probably like 600 or 700 for an international school from K to 12. So we are quite lucky here in Oman, but then when we go out into our MESAC League, we're up against schools that have 2,000, 3,000 students in their school. So we are not only are we the small school, but we're in a big league, and so it definitely comes with its challenges. And happy to share a little bit about what that looks like for me.
Well, you and I talked about this before we started recording. There are different, I want to say, aspects to being an athletic director when many times you're a department of one, as we like to say. So, what are some things that you found to be helpful? And again, for our listeners, Sarah has worked at a number of international schools in her career. But what are some things that you found helpful to kind of stay ahead of the game and do the very best job you can for your kids and your coaches?
Yeah, so definitely being in a small school does come with a small department, or very small department. And it is actually impossible to get everything done with the department that you have. So I am very, very much an advocate for the athletes taking ownership of their program. So the big thing that I like to implement in my schools is a student athletic student body that helps me run tournaments, helps coach the younger kids, are role models, and I just sent an email out tonight from grade 7 to grade 12, please sign up to score for all our home basketball games next week. So I really can't run our program without the students' help. So I spend a lot of time working with them.
What again, it's a great idea. I've actually, used that at one of my schools as well. You take advantage of the resources that you have. What were some of the ways that you presented the value of that experience, not just helping you, but the value to them as participants? How did you explain that, if you will, to those students?
Yeah, it's very much like athletics and sport is, right? You're not just there to play the game. You're there to build character, develop leadership skills, all of that. So I really put it forward as a leadership opportunity for them, and something that they'll be able to take with them and use once they've left school. My student volunteer coordinator, she's just incredible, and I say to her, you're totally going to be in event management when you finish school. So they're actually learning some skills that they'll be able to use, and also maybe help them find the pathway of a career in the future that they don't know existed.
Oh, absolutely. And those are the types of kids you just you hate to see them leave because they're so valuable to you. How about the growth that's occurred. Can you think of a success story of maybe not that super kid that you just described, but that other kid, hey, Coach Harman, can I be one of your student leaders? And you're going, I don't know. But the experience really changed them. Do you have a story like that to share?
Yeah, I've got a grade 9 student. I only have one grade 9 student in our leadership council this year, and I'd have to say for 3/4 of the year he has not spoken a word or done anything. And I've realized that just a very, very shy, student that didn't think he had any skills or anything to give. And it really just came about by me building that relationship with him. I'd start to ask him about, I knew he started doing volleyball at an academy outside of school, and I started just having those conversations with him. And now just last week he was in my office telling me who I should hire as the varsity boys volleyball coach next year.
So he's already helping you make personnel decisions. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, it, something that's worked for me over the years, and again, the student athlete leadership program's tremendous, but we've tried to get kids involved, like keeping the clock and the scoreboard. We even had students that were very good as public address announcers for the games on the microphone. Have you done anything like that with your student athletes?
Yeah, my student athlete, that's only people who score or do the stop clock is students. I don't have any adults doing that at all in our games here. This wouldn't be in our international league. I would have adults for our international leagues, but for our local league here in Oman, 100% I have our students doing all of that. Yeah.
That's got to be great. And I'm betting when teams come to visit you and they see students involved in those types of leadership roles, I'm going to guess there might be a few raised eyebrows. How has that gone over with the visitors? And again, they're going to see that it's done very well. But what's their initial response?
Sometimes I'd have to say, particularly basketball coaches do like to question the table a lot. And I've actually had to remind our visiting coaches, these are students volunteering their time to learn a skill and to help out our program. So please don't speak to them like that again.
Absolutely. Okay. As an official, I love to have ADs like that. Okay, I've got to ask you a question now. We are, as we record this, and listeners, we're recording this on May 6th, so it's going to be very timely when you listen to it. I'm making Sarah stay up really late. We here in the United States, here in Florida, we're having our state conference right now, and one of the new rules that's coming in for the high school in basketball is the shot clock, and it's optional, but there's a little bit of let's say grumbling about it. Do you have the shot clock in your game? You're nodding your head yes. And one of the challenges that our ADs are going, we struggle to find adults to run the clock and the scoreboard for a regular game. And now the shot clock, there's a little more involved with that. So how do you manage that training and finding people to run the shot clock for your basketball games?
Yeah. So we don't have a shot clock again in our local league in Oman. We only have a shot clock for our international tournament. But I've been using it here, and I've been saying to the opposition, just ignore the shot clock. I've got it up there to train my students how to use it, but we're not using it in the game. So, but I very much have meetings with them. The scoreboard comes out, the electronic scoreboard. I'm not going to do it one-on-one. I get a group of 10 kids, say, at a time. Okay, we're going to do some training. Let's have some practice, and that sort of thing. And you'll soon learn which ones should be on the shot clock and which ones shouldn't.
The one that's on their cell phone, looking
Right.
at, or
Yeah,
looking up in the bleachers.
that's definitely another rule. Their cell phones are taken away from them and until it's quarter time or half time.
Oh, no. And again, as a basketball official here in the States for high school, you're going by the score table and you see the person on the clock, they're on their cell phone. You're just going, what is going on here? Anyway, Sarah, great ideas as always. Thanks again for sharing with us. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, add you to their network, or just find out more about how you do things at your school, what's the best way that they can get a hold of Sarah Harman?
Yeah, sure. So they can easily find me on LinkedIn if they're on LinkedIn, or otherwise they're welcome to email me at sharman@abaoman.org.
Well, Sarah Harman, and we didn't mention on this segment, Sarah is a registered international athletic administrator through the NIAAA. Thanks again for being on Small School AD. All the best with your spring season wrap up, and we'll look forward to having you back on the podcast soon.
Thanks so much for having me, Jake.
Oh, you bet. For listeners, we want to say thank you for listening, and just remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this every day with best practices, and we want to encourage you to come back for another great episode of Small School AD and for all of our segments on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, thanks again, Sarah Harman. What a pro. And she's, again, you need to add her to your network. Just a tremendous background in athletic administration. Before we go, we want to acknowledge our sponsors. And please visit our sponsors, because these are all companies that I use and I recommend them highly to you. Gipper.com, start creating world-class social media content. Go to huddle.com, homecampus.com, hometownticketing.com. I want to thank Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Tables, Snap Raise, the #1 online fundraiser, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, the Ohio University Master in Athletic Administration, and we'll give a shout out to K-12 Sports Tech too. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on Small School AD on the Educational AD Podcast.